Assalamu alaikum students. So now we'll take up one more important topic, that is the muscular system. So till now we have covered three important topics. One is the the introduction, where we discuss about the cell and tissue and other things. In the next class we discuss in two sessions about the skeletal system, the appendicular as well as the axial skeleton, in two lectures. Then in the third part, that is the fourth lecture, we discuss about the joints. And today we'll take up one more important topic, that is the muscular system. Okay, so we'll try to understand what exactly is the muscular system. To follow that, we have to understand what is meant by muscle or muscle cell. Muscle cell is specialized contractile tissue cell. So it is a specialized type of tissue of the cell which is contractile in nature, and it is called as the muscle fiber. Usually it is called as the muscle fiber. Okay, but it is actually a cell, because it is called as fiber because it is a long cell. So that's why it is said to be specialized, because the cells here, they're not like regular cells what we have studied, but it is specialized, and it has the ability to contract. So that's why it is a specialized contractile cell, and it is called as the muscle fiber. Okay, muscle cell or muscle fiber are both the same. There are four characteristic associations with the muscle tissue. So there are four features of the muscle tissue. Which are those? Okay, so if you see here, the first one is excitability. The second is contractility. The third is extensibility. And the fourth is the elasticity. So these are the four important features of every muscle cell or tissue. Okay. What do you mean by excitability? Here, the tissue can receive and respond to stimuli, just like the nerves. This muscle, especially in some regions, they have specialized feature where there will be actually the impulse will travel. So, but normally the tissue or the cells of the muscle tissue can receive as well as respond to stimuli. Whenever a nerve is innervating a muscle, it will it will receive as well as respond to stimuli whenever the it receives impulses from the outside, from the nerves. Okay, so the muscle cells and tissues have the capacity to receive as well as respond to stimuli. We'll see what exactly it means. The second is called as contractility. Tissue can shorten and thicken. Okay, so the muscle tissue has the capacity to elongate, become long. That is called as extensibility, where it can become long, or it has the capacity to contract. It becomes smaller. Okay, so the tissue or the cells of this muscular tissue can shorten as well as thicken. They become short as well as they can become thicker, or they have the capacity to extensibility, that is the tissue can lengthen. The cells as well as tissues can lengthen. Okay, now the fourth feature is elasticity. The tissue returns to its resting state. There is a normal state. I said it can become lengthy or it can become shorter. Okay, but it can also return back to its normal state. That is called as resting state, or it is also called as recoil. So whenever the cells or the tissue, muscle tissue is pulled apart, so as soon as you release, it will come back to its normal position. As well as if you they make it shorter, or because of the stimuli it becomes short later. Once the stimuli goes, the muscle tissue and cells will return back to its normal position. That is called as the resting state. Okay, and that is called as recoil, when the any external pressure is not there, then it will return back to its normal position. Okay, this is called as the elasticity. So these are the four features of the muscular tissue. These features are not there in the bone tissue. It is not there in the bone tissue. This is specialized for the muscular tissue. One is the excitability, that is they receive as well as respond to stimuli. Contractility, when the cells and tissue become short. Then extensibility, where the tissue cells become long. And the elasticity, when the tissue cells return back to the normal state, resting state, or recoil. So these are the four features of the muscular tissue. Now coming to the functions of the muscular tissue. Why do we need muscular tissue in our body? We already have the bones. We have already studied the skeleton, axial and the appendicular skeleton, as well as the junction between the two bones, which is called as the joints. Now, why do you need muscular tissue? Now we'll study what is the importance. One is the movement. Even though we have studied the bones, they cannot move themselves, they cannot move unless there is an external force by the muscles. So it is the muscles which help in movement, both voluntary as well as involuntary. Voluntary means whenever you want to do something, you can do it yourself. That is called as voluntary. Like picking a ball from the ground, all the muscles are contracting. You are lifting food from the plate to your mouth. So that is done by all the muscles. Even though there are bones inside, the movement is done by the muscles. But there are also some actions which are done involuntary, that is not by under our control, like respiration. Okay, the heart beats on its own, as well as the muscle within the intestines, the stomach, they all help in absorption, okay, of the food. That is not done by us. We cannot do it ourselves. So it is automatic. So that is automatic is called as involuntary, which is not under our control. Voluntary means which is under our control, and involuntary means which is not under our control. Okay. So this is called as the movement, voluntary as well as involuntary. Second is maintaining the posture. Okay, even though there are bones, they might fall down. If there are no support, the bones all will collapse. As the skeleton, you have seen the skeleton, it is supported by something. If not, all the bones will collapse and fall down. So, so for the maintaining of posture, that posture is given by the again by the muscle. Then the supporting function, supporting soft tissue within the body cavities. Body cavities means inside the abdomen. Okay, there are cavities. Okay, that is one cavity. In the thoracic region, there is one more cavity. Okay, so these muscular system gives supporting soft tissue within the body cavities. So these muscles on the abdominal wall will keep the internal organs inside, like the stomach, the intestine, the kidney. All those are kept inside by the supporting muscle tissue which are around, which form the anterior abdominal wall and the posterior abdominal wall. Okay. Then guarding. So guarding the entrances and exit of the body. Okay, guarding of the any openings in the body are guarded by the again by the muscular tissue. Like near the oral cavity, the mouth, there are lips which are made up of muscles. It is not the bones which are guarding, but the muscles which move. They can open as well as close, depending on that. So it will be guarding. If there is any external injury, it will close suddenly. Okay. So external threat is there, it will close. Similarly, around the nose, nostrils, there are muscles. Near the ear, there are muscles. Near the anal canal, there are muscles. Everywhere there are openings, they are guarded by muscle tissue. Okay. So this is so they help in guarding of any opening cavity. Okay. So these are some of the functions of the muscular system. One is they help in the movement, which is both voluntary as well as involuntary. Second is maintaining the posture. The third is supporting of the soft tissues, body cavities within the body inside, like as I said. the stomach and intestines in the abdominal cavity. Then by the muscle outside, okay, which form the anti-abdominal wall. Then the guarding of any entrance, any openings will be guarded by the muscular tissue. Now we'll see what are the types of muscles. There are different types of muscles, so you should know. So even though the muscles does all these functions, there are three different types. One is called as the skeletal tissue. Okay, the skeletal muscles. Okay, skeletal means as we have seen the skeleton. Okay, which are made up of bones. So the muscles which are attached to the skeleton, these are called as skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles. This is attached to the skeleton, so they are called as skeletal muscles. Okay, their feature also differs in their structure. They differ from each other also, not only in the function but also. So whichever muscle is attached to the bone, then it is called a skeletal muscle. Skeleton, so it is attached to skeleton, so it is skeletal muscle. The second type of special muscle, which is in the heart wall, that is called as cardiac muscle. Very special type of muscle, only seen in the heart. That is called as cardiac muscle. Then the third type of muscle is in the as I said, the stomach, intestine, which is not under our control. This is called as the smooth muscle. This is the smooth muscle. If you see the structure, this is how they differ in structure. Okay, histologically, when you study under the microscope, they look different. Okay, so easily you can identify. Now we'll try to compare these three types of muscles. Okay, so the type of muscle is three types: skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and smooth muscle. Now we'll try to find the differences between these three types of muscles. Okay. Now first we'll start from the location where exactly they are present. The skeletal muscle, as I said before, is attached to the skeleton. That's why it is called a skeletal muscle, attached to the bone. Okay. Then the function of this skeletal muscle is movement of the bone. Movement. It helps it because it is attached to the bones. It helps in the movement. So that's why we can walk, we can sit, we can stand because these muscles are attached to the bones, which help in the movement of the body. So they help in the movement of the bones. Okay, then control mode, it is under our control. Okay, we want to stand, we can stand. If we want to sit, we can sit. If you want to lie down, we can lie down. If you want to walk, we can walk. Okay, depending on what we want to do, these muscles, skeletal muscles which are attached to bone, will help in the movement of those positions of the bone. So this is called as voluntary, which is under our control. It is called as voluntary. Then, if you see the structure, as I said, under the microscope, these are the muscle cell, one single muscle cell. This is called as fiber. As I said, the muscle fiber the cells are not like rounded like we saw before. It will be long cylindrical structure. Okay. So shape of these cells will be long, then slender means thin, as well as non-branching. They don't branch. If you see a single muscle, so there is single muscle, and it is multinucleated. Usually, all cells will have one nucleus, but in case of the skeletal muscle, it is multinuclear. Many nucleuses are there. Okay. Coming to the characteristic feature, it will have striated light and dark bands. As you can see here, these some are bands like tiger bands. So these are called as striated. Okay, striations. Okay, so there are light bands and dark bands. Light band, dark band. So these are called as the striated or striations. And as I said before, it is multinucleated, many nuclei, many nuclei. Nucleus is one, nuclei means many, many nuclei. Okay. So this is about the skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle location is attached to the bone. Function movement in the helps in the movement of the bone. Control mode, it is voluntary. We can do control these muscles. Shape of the muscle, they are long, slender as well as non-branching. And the characteristic feature is when you see under the microscope will be the striations or light and dark bands, tiger bands, and many nuclei will be present here. Many nuclei. Okay. Now we'll compare this skeletal muscle with the cardiac muscle. So cardiac muscle, as I said, it is present only in the heart. but the skeletal muscle is present throughout the body. Wherever the bones are there, it attached to that will be the muscle, that is the skeletal muscle. But the cardiac muscle present only in the heart, nowhere else. And what is the function of this cardiac muscle? It helps in the beating of the heart. Lub dub sounds are coming because of the movement of this muscle, cardiac muscle. Okay. Control mode, heart is not under our control. So it is involuntary. So means it is automatic. Okay. We cannot control, we cannot increase the heart rate or decrease the heart rate. It is automatic. It is controlled by the brain itself. Okay. So it is called as involuntary, not under our control. Then if you see the shape of the cells, they branch. As you can see here, there is branching. Here there is no branching. Skeletal muscle, no branching. But cardiac muscle, they have capacity to branch, divide. Okay. Then coming to the characteristic features, they also have striations. Just like the skeletal muscle, they have striations. But nuclei is only one or sometimes two. Okay. So even though here there are many nuclei, here it will be only one nuclei. So this will be some features of the skeletal muscle and some feature of the soul. Okay. So it branches, here it doesn't branch. It has striation, this also has striation. But here it is multinucleated, but here it is single nucleated. Okay. Okay. Now coming to the smooth muscle. What is smooth muscle? Where do you see them? As I said, the location of the smooth muscle is on the walls of the internal organs, like the stomach. Okay, the wall of the stomach is made up of smooth muscle. The wall of the intestine is made up of the smooth muscle. Below the skin there is muscle that is also made up of the smooth muscle. All these are called as smooth muscle. Smooth muscle. Okay. What is the function of this muscle? It helps in the movement of the internal organs. They help in the movement of the internal organs like the stomach and the intestine. So whenever these muscles contract and relax, it helps in the digestion as well as the absorption from the stomach as well as the intestine. Okay, so that is the function of these muscles. So they help in the movement of the internal organs. Control mode, again, this is not under our control. We cannot control the digestion or the absorption. Okay, so it is involuntary. It is not under our control. Coming to the shape of the muscle fibers, here if you see, they are very typical. They are spindle shape. What do you mean by spindle shape? Two ends are narrow and in the center there is broad. This shape is called a spindle shape. Spindle shape. Here it is long, slender, non-branching. Here it is branching. Here there is no branching and the shape is very typical spindle shape. Okay. Coming to the characteristic feature, there are no striation, no tiger bands here, no bands here. So it is called as non-striated. And the nucleus is only one. Okay, only one. Nucleus only one, like that of the cardiac muscle, no striations, just like itself. Okay. So this is also called as, it is usually in the viscera. Viscera means internal organs are called as the viscera, hollow organs. Okay. So this is the three different types of muscles and this is how they differ with each other depending on location, function, control mode, shape and characteristic features. Okay. So they differ with each other. Okay. So you should know the differences between the skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle and the smooth muscle. Now we'll start with the skeletal muscles. Skeletal muscles are very important, so we have to study them one by one. Okay. Coming to the structure of the skeletal muscle, before we go into details about the different skeletal muscles in the body, we should know what exactly is the structure of the skeletal muscle. If you see the muscle, this is the muscle here. This whole thing is called as the muscle. Okay, this muscle is made up of multiple muscle fiber bundles. If you see here, there are multiple muscle bundle fibers. Okay, one of them has been extended here so that you can appreciate this muscle bundle fiber. Okay, there are many, but one has been extended so that you can appreciate how it looks like. So this muscle bundle fiber is made up of many muscle fibers. Muscle fibers. If you see here, so this muscle bundle is made up of muscle fibers, many muscle fibers. Okay. So these are all the muscle fibers. Muscle fiber, as I said, it is nothing but the muscle cell. So muscle cell, multiple muscle cells together. This is called as the muscle bundle fiber. Okay. Now each muscle is called as muscle fiber here. There are multiple muscle fibers here. Okay. So here this one muscle fiber has been extended so that you can appreciate how it looks like. So each muscle fiber is made up of myofibrils. Myofibrils. You see here, this is the muscle fiber. So it is made up of many myofibrils. If you see, this is one myofibril. Now, if you extend this again further, if you again dissect and see within each myofibril, there are myofilaments, multiple myofilaments. Okay, these are called as the actin and myosin myofilaments. Okay, so these are the actin and myosin myofilaments. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Each muscle is made up of, this is the whole muscle which is made up of multiple muscle fiber bundles. So each muscle bundle fiber is made up of many muscle fibers. Each muscle fiber is made up of many myofibrils. Each myofibril is made up of many myofilaments. Myofilaments are nothing but the actin and myosin. Okay, so this is the structure of the skeletal muscle. Okay, so here has been again shown here. Muscle is made up of many muscle fibers. Many muscle fibers. Each muscle fiber is made up of many muscle fibers. Each muscle fiber is made up of many myofibrils, and each myofibril is made up of myofilaments, which are of two types: actin and myosin. Now coming to the structure of the skeletal muscle, what exactly how it looks like. So we have studied the cell. So this looks slightly different from the normal cell. Okay. The cells are, as I said, are cylindrical in shape. Each cell is called a fiber. If you see here, this is one cell, single cell. So this muscle is made up of many uh, muscle cells here. Okay. So here you can see this is one muscle cell. Okay. Okay, so the cells of the skeletal muscles are long cylindrical. As you can see here, it is not rounded. Okay, like the typical cell with the nucleus and the other structures within them. Okay, okay, but it looks like a long cylindrical shaped structure, and each cell is called as fiber because it is long. It is called as fiber. Cells have several nuclei situated just under the sarcolemma. Sarcolemma is nothing but the cell membrane. As you know, each cell is covered by cell membrane. Similarly, here also the muscle cell is covered by a membrane. This is called as the sarcolemma. It is nothing but the cell membrane. And just under that the sarcolemma, you can see many muscle nuclei. There are many nuclei. Okay, so multiple nuclei. This is about the skeletal muscle, which is attached to the skeleton. Okay, so it will have multiple nuclei. If you go to the cardiac and smooth muscle, there is only one. But in case of the skeletal muscle, there will be multiple nuclei. It is made up of many nuclei. Okay, so cells have several nuclei situated just under the sarcolemma. Sarcolemma means the cell membrane. Cells show well-marked transverse dark and light bands. Now we can see here there are dark bands, light band, dark band, light band. Okay, so each cell is made up of multiple striations, or these are called as the dark and light bands, striated. Okay. Now the sarcoplasm is nothing but the cytoplasm of the muscle fiber. So in case of the cells, usually we can see inside the cell membrane, you can see the cytoplasm. Similarly, in skeletal muscle also you can see the cytoplasm. Here it is called as the sarcoplasm. Sarco means muscle. So everything is sarco here. Okay, because sarco means muscle. Sarcolemma means the cell membrane of the muscle cell. Sarcoplasm means cytoplasm of the muscle cell or muscle fiber, both are same. It contains bundles of myofibrils. As we saw, Each cell will contain multiple bundles of the myofibrils. Myofibrils. Okay. The myofibrils consist of filaments of actin and myosin. As I said, if you take a closer look, if you take a small section of this is how it looks like. These are the dark bands and these are light band, dark band and light band. It is made up of two types of cells. These are called as the myosin and these thin bands are called these thin line filaments are called as the actin filaments. Actin filaments and myosin. These are two types of filaments. Bands are here. Dark band, light band, dark band and light band. Okay. So these are the filaments, the myosin and actin filaments. Now coming to the type of muscles according to the shape. So what are the different types of muscles according to the shape? Okay. Okay. So there are different types of muscle cells, types of muscles according to the shape. One is the circular type, where the muscles will be circular. One of the example is the orbicularis oculi around the oral cavity. If you see here, around the oral cavity, there will be muscles around the oral cavity which form the upper and lower lip. So this is called as the orbicularis oculi. Sorry, oculi is the near the eye. This is the orbicularis oculi. Oris here will be orbicularis oris. Oris for the oral cavity. Oculi is for the eye. So here you can see here this is for the eye. Around the eye there is orbicularis oculi. Around the mouth it will be orbicularis oris. Okay. So these are the both are circular. Both oris around the mouth as well as the oculi around the eye. These are circular muscle fibers. Then we have the second type that is called as the convergent. One of the example for this is the pectoralis major muscle. Here, if you see here, this muscle is called as the pectoralis major muscle. Pectoralis major. Okay. So here, the muscles they are taking a big origin. There are multiple muscle fibers. All are going to one particular region. So they become from large to one particular point. They become small, as you can see here. So they have a big origin but they go and confine to one particular small point. It is called as the convergent. Convergent. The example is pectoralis muscle. This muscle is called as the pectoralis major muscle in the chest, pectoral region. Then there are muscle fibers which are parallel to each other. So these are types of muscle fibers. Okay. So there are muscles which are parallel. They are called as strap muscles, like the sartorius muscle. There is a muscle here in the thigh. This is called as the parallel example for the parallel muscle called as sartorius. This muscle is called as sartorius. So this is the example for the parallel fibers, as well as spindle fusiform like the biceps brachii. If you see here, this is the biceps brachii, biceps. Okay, so the full name for this biceps is biceps brachii. So this is spindle shape. Spindle shape means in the center it is thick and at the ends it is becomes narrow. This is called a spindle shape. Okay. So these are the two types of parallel muscle fibers where the muscles run parallel to each other. Okay, side by side. Then the fourth type is called as pinnate muscle. Pinnate muscle. One is called as unipinnate, bipinnate, and multipinnate. Pinnate means small areas. Uni means one, single. Bi means two. Multi means many. Okay. So now here we will study the example for the unipinnate, bipinnate, and multipinnate. We'll talk about that later. Before that, we'll go some more details about these three types: circular, convergent, as well as the parallel muscle fibers. So the types of muscles according to the shape. One is the circular. The fascicles are arranged in concentric rings. As you can see here, they are arranged in rings. Muscles with this arrangement surround the external body openings. Wherever there are openings, like the oral cavity, the eye, as well as the nose, the ear, the anal cavity, everywhere there are these types of muscles which form a splinter-like action. They close and open, close and open. Okay, only when it is necessary, they open and they close. Okay, so these are the circular. Circular means round, around the eye, around the mouth, as I said before. Okay. One of the example is the orbicularis oculi and oris. Then the convergent, the muscle has a broad origin and its fascicles converge to a single tendon and insert, as you can see here. So it has a broad origin, many fibers are coming from everywhere, but they can go to one particular point. This is called as convergent. Divergent means going away, and convergent means coming close to each other. Okay, so that is called as the convergent. Then we have the parallel. In parallel arrangement, the length of the fascicle run parallel to the long axis of the muscles. Okay, all muscle fibers will be parallel to each other. Okay, run parallel to the long axis of the muscle. Such muscles are either the strap muscles like the sartorius muscle, as we saw here, long fibers, all fibers are going in the same direction. That is called a strap muscle, or spindle shape with an extended belly like the biceps muscle, as we saw here with the biceps, where this is spindle shape. In the center it is big, at the sides it becomes narrow. Now coming to the pinnate muscles, which we were talking about. Unipinnate, bipinnate. Here we saw unipinnate, bipinnate, and multipinnate. Now we'll see what is this exactly. So here, pinnate muscles, the fascicles are short and they are attached obliquely to a central tendon that runs the length of the muscle. Pinnate muscles come in three forms, as you can see here. So this is the central tendon, fibers are coming from one side. This is called as unipinnate. All fibers are coming in one direction. Unipinnate, in which the fascicles insert into only one side of the tendon, as in the one of the example for this is the extensor digitor longus muscle of the leg. Okay, so we'll study these muscles later. Now just you should know how they are arranged, all these muscles. This is called a unipinnate. Here also you can see all the fibers are coming in one direction. Bipinnate means, bi means, as I said, two, so there are two sides. Okay, so they're called as bipinnate. Multi means many. Okay, so if you see here, one direction, two direction, three, four, five, and six. Okay, so this is called as multipinnate. If only one side, unipinnate. Uni means one, bi means two, so two direction. Multi means many, so it is coming in many directions. This is called as the multipinnate. So the example for the bipinnate will be the rectus femoris, again in the lower limb, thigh. Then multipinnate, this is the best example is the deltoid muscle in the upper limb. We will study these muscles where actually the injections, intramuscular injections are given. Okay, so that deltoid muscle is a very important muscle in the upper limb. So this is the direction. Okay. So this is how it looks like. This is the deltoid muscle. So this deltoid muscle is here. If you see, this is the picture showing you the deltoid muscle. So this is the multi-pinnate muscle. Example is the deltoid muscle. Okay. Now again there are pictures showing you the unipinnate, all the muscles in one direction. This is called as the unipinnate muscle. Example is the extensor digitorum muscle. If all the muscle fibers are on the same side of the tendon, so this is a tendon, all the fibers are only one direction, then it is called a unipinnate. If the pinnate muscle has fibers on both directions, there are two directions, one and two. These fibers are going like this, these fibers are going like this. This is called as the bipinnate. Multipinnate, if there are multiple directions, this is going, and other many fibers are going in different directions. That is called as the multipinnate, as we saw here. So this is the multipinnate. So the best example for this is the, as we said, deltoid muscle. Bipinnate, the example is the rectus femoris, or again the muscle of the lower limb. So again, these muscles are giving you the same details, showing you with different pictures and different names. Okay, the types of muscle according to a shape. Circular muscle, here you can see here these are circular muscles. Orbicularis oris, here they are shown the oris. Before you saw around the eye called as the orbicularis oculi. Here this is the oris. Then we have the convergent muscle, that is the pectoralis major. This is the pectoralis major muscle. Here, this one. Okay, this is the pectoralis major muscle, which is the parallel muscle, sartorius, as we saw, this is the sartorius muscle here. Okay. Then unipinnate muscle, extensor digitorum longus. You see here, here there will be extensor digitorum longus. Then the multipin, the bipinnate is the this is the rectus femoris. This is the example for the bipinnate, two direction. Multipinnate deltoid muscle, multiple direction. This is the deltoid muscle. So all these are examples for the different types of muscles which you see in case of the body. So they are classified into either circular, convergent, parallel, unipinnate, bipinnate, or the multipinnate. So these are the five or six classification, okay, on which the muscles are all divided. Now coming to the parts of the muscles. Parts of the muscles. So what are the parts of the muscles? So the muscle, whenever you study the muscle, it has basically four parts. One is called as the origin. I was telling the origin, insertion. The second one is the insertion. The third is the belly, and the fourth is tendon. What do you mean by origin of the muscle? Okay, it is usually the proximal attachment side, generally on the bone, which does not move during the muscle action. So it is fixed end. So the muscle has two ends. One end is always fixed. So even though both are attached to the both ends are attached to the bone, one side it is fixed. The bone is not moving on that side. Whichever end moves, whichever part of the bone moves because of the contraction, that is called as insertion. The part which is fixed part of the muscle, that is called as the origin. Insertion is usually the distal attachment, generally on the bone, which move during muscle action. So whenever the muscle contracts or has action, so that part of the bone moves, and that end is called as insertion, movable end. Fixed end here, it is movable. Fixed end is the origin, the movable end is called as insertion. Okay. So all these details we'll again study when we study the muscles. Okay. Then we have belly. What do you mean the belly? It is the fleshy contractile part of the muscle. Whenever you study the muscle, you are seeing, so this part here with the muscular part, this this part is called as belly. Belly means stomach. Okay. Similarly, belly is bigger in our body. Similarly, even the here the belly, the big part is called as the belly. This part is called as the belly. Here this part is called as the belly of the muscle. Okay. Then the tendon, the fibrous part. Here, if you see, everything is not colored same, but the ends are shown in whitish color. These parts are called as tendon. Here, if you see here, these parts are called as tendon. Okay. So these are the ends of the muscle where there is no muscle fiber, but there is a fibrous part of it is a part of the muscle, but it is fibrous in nature, which helps in the attachment of the muscle to the bones. So that part is called as tendon. Wherever the muscle is attached to the bone, it is by a fibrous part of the muscle that is called as the tendon. Okay. So these are the four basic parts of any muscle. It has an origin, insertion, belly, as well as the tendon. The examples for this is the best example for the muscle with all these features is the biceps muscle. Okay. So if you see here, this is the biceps muscle. Okay. So here this part will be called as the origin part. This is called as insertion part because whenever this muscle contracts, this will help in the movement of the forearm. This is the forearm. Okay. So whenever it contracts, it pulls the hand upwards. So that's why this is called as insertion. This part is called as origin. This is fixed part. This is the movable part. This is the belly, and these ends, white part, are called as the tendon. Okay. So this is what it is mentioned here. So here also you can see the muscle crossing the any joint. So if you see here, this is the big muscle. This this end is called as the origin from the bone, tibia and fibula. Okay, so this is the tibia and the fibula, and the insertion is below into the tarsal bones. One of the tarsal bones called as the calcaneus. Okay, then this part, the big part, is called as belly, and these two ends are called as the tendons. So this is the origin, This is the insertion, this is the belly, and the tendons of the two whitish parts on either side. Action of this muscle is ankle plantar flexion. That you'll study again later. Here you can see one more muscle in the leg. This is also muscle in the leg. This is also called muscle of the leg. This is called a gastrocnemius muscle. Gastrocnemius muscle. Origin, again, this is from the femur, the bone of the thigh called as the femur, lower part of femur. And the insertion again to the calcaneus bone, that is the tarsal bone here. Okay, so this is the origin, femur, and this is the insertion to the Achilles tendon. And here you can see this thick part, this part is called as the fibrous part is called as the tendon. It has a specific name here called as the Achilles tendon. And this part is called as the belly. So each muscle will have an origin, insertion, belly, as well as the tendon. Okay. Okay. This is what we'll study today. We'll not go further. We'll stop here. So in the next class, we'll study each group of muscles. Okay, we have studied that each muscle, the types of muscle. There are three types of muscle basically. There are smooth muscle, skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, and now we studied the typical feature of a skeletal muscle. It has a belly, tendon, origin, and insertion. In the next class, we'll study the different muscles, the group of muscles in the face, the muscles in the neck, the muscles in the trunk, the muscles in the upper limb, the muscles in the lower limb. All those will be studied later. Okay, so there will be lot of things which are coming. So read this lecture before you come to the next class, and read about the bones and joints. And inshallah, on Sunday in the lab, we will discuss all the bones as well as the joints. Okay, the bones and the joints. Okay, in the last practical, we discuss about the bones. We'll go further. We'll again revise whatever we read in the practical. Don't miss the practicals as well as the lectures. Okay, because they are all connected. So come and read and come about the bones and joints. We'll discuss in the next practical. And this lecture will continue further, and in the future practicals we'll cover these matters. So this is all about this lecture. If you have any doubts, you can ask me.
Doctor.
Yeah, yeah, tell me. Yeah, you had something to tell?
No, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you.